love me so much more than I could ever know. Your love is deeper than this world will ever show. And all of life's beauty shines around this moment now. The sky and the cliffs, they seem to change my life somehow. And I will never be the same, will never be the same. Whoa, 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 I will never be the same, never be the same ever again. Well, here I am waiting, Lord, my life is just for you. Please unfold all the plans that you would have me do. And if all the world's just a breath and nothing's here to stay, then all of the love we feel will save us anyway. And I will never be the same, will never be the same. Whoa, whoa, I will never be the same, will never be the same ever again.
God's will is simple. The most wretched man in hell will not be Adolf Hitler. The most wretched man in hell, or woman, will not be one like Joe Stalin or some of these more modern devils. The most wretched person in hell will be a former Seventh-day Adventist.
Hello and welcome to SDAQ&A. Let me press
The one who told me.
There we go. Good to see you all. This is part 2 of my interview with Dr. Martin Weber. I began yesterday, part 1, and ran out of time, so I had to do part 2 this morning. I'm away this week, and that's why the times are all different. So I still wanted to make sure there was some content that you guys could watch and enjoy and engage with and contribute in the chat as well. Excuse me. And also next week we will be back to normal, and we'll have several months of uninterrupted changes in the schedule. But yeah, I've got some gigs that I have to travel away for, leaving very soon after this morning's program. Welcome everybody watching. Good to see you here. Hopefully I am live. We'll see how we go. Yes, so it's a shorter, I think there's only about an hour to go of the program today. Fascinating insights listening to Dr. Weber. And he was author, or is author, of the well-known book Adventist Hot Potatoes, which took the Adventist world by storm in the, I think, the 90s, maybe early 90s, mid 90s. And he has really shared some fascinating insights of his journey. So I encourage you, if you're tuning in today, to watch today's program, and then tomorrow go back at our usual time, just watch episode 1 to learn about his journey from quite a traditional conservative Adventist to a progressive gospel-focused one. And it's interesting that a lot of these guys still remain in the church. I've been a bit hard on them lately, but all I want, I guess, is for them to say, hey, yeah, we feel accountable for certain trajectories that have taken place, and we could have done a few things differently. Just some accountability would be nice. And also I do try and cajole a little bit, because I think if they do have something, this progressive Adventism, this reformist Adventism, then they need to be reformers. Imagine if, Des Ford was kind of the Luther of that movement. And imagine if Luther had said his bit, and then nobody kind of followed in behind him to support him. What kind of movement would that be? Well, that's kind of Adventism. The progressives had the Des Ford. They had a moment when they could have spoken up and really, and they did try behind the scenes, and I don't judge actually for the last 45 years. It's what's happening now that I think they need to start standing up and be accountable for the journey. Me too. I was a part of it. I didn't leave till I was 54. So yeah, be bold or leave. It's my advice for what it's worth. Hey, let's get back to this interview. I hope you enjoy it. Dr. Martin Weber, a replay of Season 2, Episode 39, which was all about Des Ford and Glacier View.
Not to study the Bible with my pastors, because the Desmond Ford was allegedly from somewhere else than God, and I said, I need to study this in the Bible. He said, we say that. I said, and I mean it. He said, well, Ellen White says that you believe it, that settles it. I said, conscientiously, I said, I live by my conscience.
Yeah.
I left college one time, got out of the work out of the system for this, and I'm back in the system with my conscience intact. And you know what? They lied to me at the White Estate. I went back. I wondered, what God am I going to do? What am I going to do? And just then, the president who had been there before, he was in southeastern California and Loma Linda, Orange County. And he heard a little bit of what was going on. He said, Marty, come out here. And this was, I talked to Mark Finley. And Mark helped me understand some value in the judgment, that the judgment is not, God's not scrutinizing my salvation, not questioning my salvation. He's defending my salvation. Jesus is confessing me before the angels and the Father. He's confessing me. He's on my side. He's my representative. I'm in his family. He's my hero. He's my defender. And at the cross, and so I picked up stuff, all what Des was saying about Christ at the cross. I ate all that up, but
when did that start, though? When did his stuff come across your desk?
His stuff, when I was yet an evangelist. So this is now. We're moving now from the winter of 79, 80.
Okay.
The tape is out.
Yeah.
Going around. I listened to it.
Yeah.
And there's this union-wide meeting in Tacoma Park where Des happened to be preparing his Glacier View manuscript.
Yes.
So I'm there in Tacoma Park, not allowed to study the Bible with these pastors. But I went to see Des. I knew somebody that knew him. God bless Des. He opened his heart to me. He opened his Bible. And for the first time, I felt loved.
Wow.
And there was a person that, the ministerial director who had left by then, several years earlier. He loved me. But in my present circle, the only leader from which I felt loved.
Mm-hmm.
And I listened to him, and I picked up the gospel from him. But my understanding of the judgment, I derived more from what he was saying in his Daniel commentary of, I think it was 77, than what in his Glacier View manuscript, what he was saying. But is because of Des, though, that I stayed in the Adventist church. Now, people, oh, come on, no. I was lied to at the church headquarters. They lied to me. My conference president ordered me not to study the Bible. I can't live like this. I can't. And if they're, what are they afraid of? Why can't anybody study the Bible with me? And so a month or two later, Mark Finley would. And anyway, so I met with Des with some pastors. And by the way, I did study the Bible with those guys because they had decided to leave the church, and so they were not going to be during the conference anyway. So I did my best, but it was too late. They all left.
So were you actually, you didn't end up going to Glacier View?
No.
But
later on, Glacier View became part of my territory.
Yeah.
When I was communication director, I would go in that place in the room where they met, and my heart would weep. I felt I was, all the Neil Wilson, all the political stuff, and all the way that was handled. Yeah.
So you were aware of the political stuff later, but not at the actual time?
Des, God bless him, didn't give a hint of it. It was all about Jesus, all about the Bible.
Mm.
And then Mark Finley, God bless him too. He studied with me, and Mark convinced me. He helped me to see, ironically, from Des's own Daniel commentary, that the word Daniel itself means God is my judge. Judge was vindication. God is my vindicator. So judgment is not a threat to my salvation. It's a vindication. God is like the chair of a parole board. If someone commits murder, they're in your city, and next thing you know, he's running around after being convicted for murder. Two questions are probably on your mind. Number one, why is this guy running around free? And who in the world set him free? So it's not just about that guy in his vindication. It's the chair of the parole board. I say this reverently, God is the chair of the parole board. And just like when Jesus was here on this earth, they criticized him. This man does business with sinners in his fellowship with them. And so the devil accuses us before God, Revelation 12. He's accusing us day and night before God. And we conquer or overcome those accusations through the blood of the Lamb, and by this our word of testimony. And that is my view of the pre-Advent judgment right there. It's not a threat to my salvation. My Lord Jesus, as my great high priest in the heaven's sanctuary, is standing up for me as my representative, our representative. He ascended, he said, to my Father, your God, my God. We're heirs of God, joint heirs with Christ. He's the new Adam. He is the head of our human race. Through him, we have access to God. And so I didn't understand how everything else fit in, but that core insight, ironically, through Des's earlier Daniel seminar commentary, that Mark Finley was aware of, and opened the Bible and taught to me. That was it. That did it. And then I went to see Walter Ray.
Wow.
And I got to see that I don't have to be. I saw his evidence. I wasn't impressed with Walter Ray like I was with Des, because Walter was, he was like a terrier. He was angry. And I get it. The man was not treated well, and he felt betrayed after a lifetime of, but there was something about Des that was different. And Mark Finley too, that was different. And so I went to Walter Ray's house, looked at his evidence, and believed it, but was still scared of his book and scared of him.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I mentioned in the interview yesterday with Dr. Denny that when I first came across the White Lie, it really, I couldn't read it. I started reading the first chapter and I had to kind of put it down because I hadn't, I think I had held Ellen White up on a pedestal, and it was quite shocking to me. How did the Glacier View impact your life and ministry?
Well, it started with the book Shaking of Adventism in 1978. At least it got out to West Virginia in 1978. I was pastoring in that large city by mountain standards, and that shocked me. I thought, oh God, wow. And so that awakened me that we Adventists had some problems with the gospel, and that paved the way for me to see the solution that Des had, and also Mark Finley.
What's Mark Finley's current job?
He is an advisor to Ted Wilson. He's right at the top. He may be the de facto number two, as it were, in the church. Ted has a lot of respect for him, I know. And Ted is very gracious to me. If I see him, he comes to me and calls me by my nickname, and Mark the same way, So Mark is there at the GC with Ted. I do confess, particularly with this women's ordination and the compliance thing, that's a whole other issue. I am frightened for the church. In fact, when I was called there after. I'm kind of talking. Let me. Can I connect the chronology there?
Yeah.
Okay, so I couldn't work in West Virginia anymore. But the president of Southeastern California said, Marty, if you come out here, we'll make you senior pastor of Anaheim Church of 400 or 500, and you'll have 2 associates. And we actually hired a 3rd. So I went from a dirt road in West Virginia to Orange County, California. Talk about culture shock. Got to know the mayor who sponsored me to the Business Persons Association. I was appointed community awards chairman for first responders who were heroes dashing into burning buildings and such. Make a presentation before a home plate at the Major League Baseball game there. So it was a big change. From there, I went to the Adventist Media Center, initially working for Voice of Prophecy, and then George Vanneman called me to be a scriptwriter. Then he gave me the responsibility of answering his correspondence, and he just signed the letters, unless they were from his close friends. I basically wrote the letters and he signed them. 8,000 letters, and assistant to director, speaker, and such. And then I started writing books. I got a book of the year, and wrote Dr. Ben Carson's story as well. And
Did you really?
Sold 140,000.
That was that The Gifted Hands?
No, he wrote that book, but
Are you saying that which book did you write?
I wrote the book Hurt, Healing, and Happy Again, 13 Stories of Lives Changed. His was one of them. And each of the 13 lives represents a doctrine. And it was the book of the year in the North American division, translated, circulated in Spanish as well.
Wow. I'm writing a book. Can you ghostwrite it for me?
And then I also did Adventist Hot Potatoes, where
that was a really important book for me, actually. That was probably the first time I came across your work, the Adventist Hot Potatoes. I really loved that book. Didn't you do a second one?
Yeah, I did, but I was told I couldn't write another book like that. It is written.
Right.
And I was not told that by Mark, by his predecessor, told me that I couldn't. Mark still wanted me.
I thought that was a really great book, that one. I've got it here, literally. In fact, I was reaching over here. I've got a pile of books, and I was actually trying to find Hot Potatoes so I could hold it up to you and say it's in the location here somewhere.
By the way, I didn't dream those things up. Those were questions sent to It Is Written.
Yeah.
By Adventists.
Oh yeah, no, it came across that you weren't raising these as questions that were troubling you. It came across as, look, these are questions that are presented to me. Let's address them.
Yeah, and part of that was Ellen White. She was a chapter there.
Yeah.
And I think I said stuff that basically hadn't been said before in maybe a denominational. Not a book of the year, certainly. Not well. This was the Adventist. Hurt, Healing, and Happy was for the general populace. This was just for Adventists, and it was described as a book of the year.
Yeah. What year did that come out?
That was May of 1991.
Right. Yeah, it was an important book for me. Thank you for writing that.
Thank you. And so it was it was right when that book came out that the General Conference called me to be there in the Ministerial Association. And the morning after they voted it, I understand there was a big discussion. And someone by the name of Gary Patterson, you ought to interview him, he's retired now. Patterson with 2 T's. I'm told later that he really argued to have me there. He said, we need this young guy, was, still in my 30s. We need his fresh insights, and there are enough there that went with that.
Mm.
When they called me the next morning, a vice president warned me. He said, "You are being offered a position here, but you better understand that basically no wave, don't make waves."
Who was that? Who was the vice president?
I
You don't
don't
have
know.
to say. You don't have to say. I was just.
His wife worked there, and she accused me of dancing in church once a year or two later.
Now that's a hot potato.
I said, "No, I didn't. I maybe I should have been, but I wasn't." I'm going to write listen, I'm going to write an article called "The Evils of Not Dancing." And there are going to be two texts that from Jesus that are going to be we played the flute and you wouldn't, we mourned, you wouldn't weep. We played the flute and you wouldn't dance. And that's one text. And the other text was the prodigal son comes home. And what does the older brother hear coming out of the fellowship hall there? Dancing, music and dancing. Now, not to be confused with, dancing from the world. But he turned my mourning into dancing.
Yeah, cultural dancing.
Yeah.
Not only.
And I love messianic dancing.
Yeah.
But I mean, which of us, aren't there times you just want to jump for joy? Your heart dances. Well, if your heart's dancing, let your feet dance too. I picked up a tambourine. And did you read that thing about that band, the Great White, the 80s band? The drummer retired, became a Christian, and left the band.
Right.
He moved to the city where I was pastoring by then, after I had left the general conference. Right. He started the praise band, and I got to play in that praise band.
Oh, wow. Do you remember what his name was?
I forget.
If you remember,
it was
later,
before they had that big accident with the fire.
Oh.
It was before. This was around 1999.
Mm.
So we moved there. Lake Havasu City is kind of a party town. It's bipolar by the Colorado River there, the dam. It's a year-round spring break. But retired cops from Los Angeles go on the other side of Highway 95 there. So yeah, and we played in the high school. I played the tambourine. He mentored me. He drummer, he mentored me in percussion. So I got trained by the Great White drummer how to do percussion.
Yeah.
And I remember one time visiting Cliff Goldstein, who also writes books there. Now he's at Sabbath Quarterly. We became friends, or wives, or kids. And we one time were playing happy praise music so loud. He was in a condo at the time. We banging on my tambourine, and I think he had one too. That the neighbors next door were banging on the wall, saying, "Shut up."
That might have been what the vice president's wife was referring to. That. We have cultural dancing over here called bush dancing, which is not unlike your square dancing. But greatly frowned upon by most Adventists.
Would you care to demonstrate that for the camera right now? No, sorry.
You actually were in dialogue with Des about a gospel topic, I think, and it was going to be published, but the GC president at the time put a stop to that. Can you tell us a bit about that, what that was?
Yeah, he came to me in the cafeteria and he said, I don't want that chapter published. It was a book. There were about 5 different main gospels, versions of the gospel. Of course, there's only one true gospel, but 5 understandings of the gospel in the church then and now, pretty much. Some are not as strong as previously. And by that time, I had some, I guess, notoriety. People knew who I was, and editor of ministry, an associate editor of ministry, and such, and writing these books. And so I wrote a book called "Who's Got the Truth?" 5 different versions of the gospel, and one of them was Des.
Right.
I wanted Des, even though he was still on the books.
So what year was this?
This was 94,
Wow.
1994.
Who was president at the time?
Robert Falkenberg.
Right.
Now, I have to say this. Robert Falkenberg, I first met him in 1985 at my 8th grade graduation. He sang there.
He had a nice voice, didn't he?
Yeah.
Mm.
And he loves cats. He had 4 cats. I really loved it. And he approved me being there. And I actually did a little ghostwriting. I can say that now. He's a little. But he eventually left before his time.
Mm.
There were issues of conflict of interest.
Yeah,
and so,
I heard there was some fiduciary adjustments going on. Fiduciary.
And when that started happening, when that issue arose, he suddenly became quite conservative.
Yeah.
And he came he wrote an article for Ministry. He is, as far as I know, the only time, other than maybe in the 1860s, I'll just say in the 20th century, or at least in my end of the 20th century, where a conference president, a local conference president, would jump over union division right into the GC president.
Mm.
It was epic.
Mm.
He was a young man.
Yeah. He spoke Spanish.
He had wrote a book, wrote an article for Ministry that really stirred things up a year or two earlier.
Mm.
Called Servant, what was it? Leadership, servant, or I forget. It's about servant leadership is what it was. And so he came in, and I was thrilled to work for that wonderful man. And Neil Wilson, though, stayed around and had an office. As far as I know, that was unprecedented. Usually when a president...
Yeah. Who was I was interviewing someone the other day, and they were saying how that he had taken them into... It might have been Dr. Lynn Bartlett, where Neil had taken him and shown him this office that he still had the keys to.
He did. And it was kind of maybe a restraining influence on Robert Falkenberg.
Right.
I mean, Robert Falkenberg approved more Adventist hot potatoes. He approved that.
Yeah.
He approved Wrestling with Reality. That was a book dealing with social issues, including life. And he even, there was a time I actually stood up in a meeting and said things that I felt needed to be said, and most of the presidents would have flushed me away.
Yeah.
But he called us in the whole ministerial association. I'll tell you what it was about. It was about having a black leader of the ministerial, African-American leader of the ministerial association. Up to that point, there never had been. E. Cleveland was a member of it, but not the leader of which was sad, I thought. And C.D. Brooks, who baptized my grandfather, was in a different part of but here. So it was the annual council, and they were talking about our ministerial world leader was retiring, and they were coming up with names. They had come up with names and not a single person of color was on the list. And so they had this, it wasn't annual council, it was spring, what was the word they call it? It was like a week of prayer. They had a really classy name for it, where it was both religious and professional training, a wonderful thing. And then at the end, Friday morning, there was a employee, all the employees at the General Conference could ask the president any question. So we had tried everything else and it didn't work. So I raised my hand and I said, Elder Falkenberg, at this point, 80% of the church is non-white. Isn't it about time that we should have, at least under consideration, an African American as a leader? And I mentioned a particular name. Would you believe it? And everybody thought, well, that was it for Martin. He's just fried himself. But I knew Elder Falkenberg. I knew his heart. And, you know, the black in the Elder Brooks, he came to me by the elevator. He said, brother, you just committed suicide, but we love you for it. Mm. And I got an invitation to South Africa and to Kenya and such, and Oakwood and whatever. But the very next morning, Elder Falkenberg called all of us into his office. And he said, I decided we're going to scrap the names that we had. And right at the top of my list right now, he mentioned the name that I had suggested. It was right up there. What a man. You know, he could have fired me. He could have flushed me. He could have just done it. But, you know, it turned out that that particular person was not available at the time. There was still something of a wait until, you know, a few years later. But I'll never forget that man. But one day he came to me, and this gets to your question with the book. So I'm writing these books, and I'm saying I said to the Falkenberg, I said, I want to do a book on the Gospels, the 5 different Gospels of the church, versions of the Gospel. And okay. And I promised him when I came there, I said, as a courtesy to you, anything I write, I'll let you read. And he never asked me to change anything except for this. Des's article. Now picture where we were here. Des had graciously, across the ocean, agreed to come up with a 1-page summary of the gospel. There's a gospel statement from Des that has never been publicly released, never been published. A beautiful summary of the gospel, a synopsis on 1 page.
Oh, I'd love to see that.
I'll email it to you. Never been published.
Wow. Can we share it here in the group?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, please do.
That would be a good thing for your
scoop.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And here was the format of the book. Each of these 5 leaders that I asked, who were representatives of the, you know, summed up their gospel in their own words on 1 page. And then I analyzed it, affirmed what I could, questioned what, you know, and then we went back and forth. They responded to my analysis, and we were just having a big town hall discussion, argument, if you please. I mean, we were all very, you know, with these 5 leaders, very direct and Des, God bless him, he put hours into that. And can you imagine here, Des, you know, did that all. And then one day, the General Conference president, Bob Falkenberg, comes up to me in the GC cafeteria. He says, Martin, I have to ask you a favor. He says, don't publish Des's article or chapter. Don't do that. Wow. He said, I want you to do the rest of the book, but not that chapter. I said, but, and I believe he said he appreciated
the content.
Yeah.
It's just another example of it being a political hot potato.
Yeah. But he was to the point where politically he was in trouble. He was getting into trouble.
Do you think that sometimes the conservatives, in wanting to protect their church, sometimes get information on powerful people and hold it over them?
Uh, that would be an interesting reality show, wouldn't it? That's a bit above my pay grade. For I had a chance, to interact with as a ministerial associate and have vice presidents over and all that interact with. But that particular thing that was a little bit above my. But anyway, so I said to Elder Falkenberg, I said, Des has spent hours. There's quite a thing we had going, and 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 I said, but out of respect for you, I'll talk with him and see what he says. Would you believe it? Des was so gracious. He agreed to be left out of the book.
Mm.
And all these years, in all of his lifetime, has not been published. I've wanted to do it. I just haven't found the right
So
venue. And
the one page that you're going to send me, is that
I'll
just...
send you the whole thing. I'll send you the whole
Oh,
thing.
that would be
And you can share it with, yeah. Well, why don't we do this? You do with it what you want, okay? Because it's high time, obviously.
Thank you.
It's two chapter. I mean, it's two part.
Yeah.
He lays it out. I respond. We go back and forth, quite.
Mm.
And Des was very passionate. And I had actually, he didn't feel that I was, what the word kind. I maybe I was afraid, but I was vigorous. And he felt that I was not as gracious as he was.
Mm. Mm.
But I'll tell you, God bless him. There are some others of those five that were not as gracious, and they got published.
Yeah.
But Des did not get published. It was a big waste of his precious time. God bless him.
Well, it'll be wonderful that it'll see the light of day, because I think, and I've said several times, so apologies to people who've heard me say it before, but we've had Kenneth Samples on the program, and never an Adventist, but a protege of Walter Martin. And he said that the manuscript, the 991-page manuscript, was the best presentation of the gospel that he'd ever heard. So if we can have something that's a more condensed version of Des's considered thoughts on the gospel, I think what a wonderful opportunity that'll be for people to read finally.
One page, yeah. It was he just did his eloquent best with that, and as only Des could. And can I say a word for Jill?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
Yeah, she's watching.
Jill, I want to tell you something. I've been around a while now. I have never seen a wife minister with the legacy of her husband as you have done. And in fact, I wouldn't be here participating in this had you not been doing that. I have a world of respect for you. And you're going to hear the words of Jesus, well done, good and faithful daughter. You know that. I just want to affirm that and tell you, I've never seen, I've you get to be, I'm 69 coming up. Many people retire and die. And that's usually it, except for, maybe some assistant or protege or whatever, but for one's wife to seize the day and carry the torch. I've never seen that. I'm sure I haven't seen it. God bless you for that. You are my world of respect.
Well said. Well said. And a lot of people would just tapping the heart button there in the comments, hearing you say that. That's a very moving thing to say, and I think a very important thing to highlight, the incredible work that Jill has done to support Des, but she was there the whole way through this era. She's a keeper of the flame, and also independently very prolific with her ideas and concepts and writings as well. So what's wonderfully inspiring about this interview is just getting that feeling that this the legacy and impact of Des Ford's view on the gospel is alive and well and respected, which I think's wonderful. I had someone write, and my main monitor just the battery went flat. It was charging, but it turns out the cable is not working for some reason. But someone said, I think they misunderstood before when you were saying, is this relevant, what you were talking about, unpacking your background? And they must have misheard me, or I must have misspoke, and they were thinking that I was saying that it wasn't relevant or something. I just wanted to highlight, no, so if there is anything that people feel that I've stopped you on or changed or diverted, write to us now, because I've just put my phone on, and I should be able to see if anyone wants to raise a question that I may have unintentionally diverted you from. I'd love them to just write so I can bring it back, because I've totally valued the relevance of everything you've said today.
Well, at my age, a lot of stuff, is not as relevant.
No,
Really heartfelt.
that's not true. Is there anything you'd like to kind of close on? I was going to chat to you a little bit about the churches being the final remnant and some of the investigative judgment stuff, but sometimes I feel like delving into that, and other days I don't, only because my digging into it can be misunderstood sometimes. Whereas, so I'm happy for you to unpack anything along the lines of the investigative judgment or the remnant, if you like. But as long as people know that I only explore these things because by turning over the stones, by putting the spotlight on issues, I believe that you can find truth. Truth withstands scrutiny, and the things that are untruthful fall away, and what you're left with are the gems. But sometimes you have to dig and get a bit messy and a bit dirty to find these gems. But my intentions are to find the gems, so I don't want to talk about investigative judgment or is the church the remnant or those kind of things in a way that is trying to be flippant or derogatory. But are there things that you can say about that maybe are said in a positive light?
Yeah. When we think of, you'll have to bring me back one time if you were to talk about the Zoetic gospel, the gospel of life. I think we are so much wrapped up with guilt and forgiveness that actually guilt is the death of innocence. It's a subset of life versus death. Jesus is very Zoetic in his teaching. The Apostle Paul, even in Romans, which is supposed to be all forensic or so forensic, it's 3-to-1 Zoetic language, Zoe, life, in the core of chapters 5-8. The book of Revelation is very Zoetic, crown of life, river of life, book of life. The living creatures of life around the throne, the four of them. I'm just really thrilled with life. Jesus said, the enemy comes to hurt and kill and destroy. I have come that they might have life and have it more abundantly. And I actually had an opportunity to give a presentation to the Adventist Society of Religious Studies on the Zoetic Gospel. And every single biblical doctrine I see all of the 28 Adventist fundamental beliefs in the context of the Zoetic gospel. Um, the Sabbath is life, it's Zoetic, life and new life. To Ellen White, it was primarily law. It's a fourth commandment. But why is it in the fourth commandment? It's different from all the others. The others put you to work. This Sabbath gives us rest. And it's life and new life, both times after creation and new creation earned on the cross. Jesus rested, and then he came forth victorious. The sanctuary is about life. We receive the crown of life, and Jesus, his priesthood is superior to the book of Hebrews, to the Levitical priest, because of life. He lives evermore, and on the basis of an eternal, of an ongoing forever life that he has, he is superior to the Levitical priests who serve and die. Obviously, going to heaven, that's Zoetic, that's life. And just throughout our health message presented properly is all about life. Life versus death, the crown of life, Jesus, the Lord of life. And so I explain all that in, and this is the last thing I'll say. I must answer a question of yours, because I don't want to drag this up. But if anything you want to talk about or anybody else's, I'm here. But I have a website, 95 Theses for SDA.
I've been enjoying that. I really dug deep into that yesterday and at about 1 a.m. this morning, I think, too.
Oh, thank you. And so thank you so much. My wife is sending me a note now saying,
Dinner time.
I'm keeping the cats awake. We have only 4 cats now.
Would your wife come on and give us a wave and say hello?
She's already closed the door and left, and she's been in bed herself. But I'm up here.
Well, say a big hi to her.
Okay, I will.
Yeah.
I will.
And thank
yeah, we've got with these cats. Anyway, yeah, I have to spell that properly. If anybody participating wants to say SDA, the number 4. Let's see. No, I'm sorry. I had another website out there. Sorry.
I've got it here somewhere if you want me to bring it up.
Yeah, no, it's 95 Theses. Theses. It's plural.
That's
not
right.
a thesis, but these 95 Theses for SDA.
And it's the number 4.
Number 4. 95 Theses, the number 4, SDA.com.
I'll put that in the link as well, or someone watching will do that. We've got some very...
Yeah. And any of those 95 Theses for the Adventist Church, if they're in colored print, that's hyperlink. Click and you'll see something behind it you might want to read.
Yeah. Well, what I would love to do is get you back once we've finished the Glacier View series. And this hit me this morning around 2 o'clock as I was reading through the 95. I thought, boy, this would make a really good interview, just unpacking this a bit more. So let's do that in, maybe 6 weeks' time.
Great.
Hey, well, I think, we'll let you go and help quiet the cats. And
I just have to feed them some good Adventist tuna. Yeah. Right.
As long as you keep away from the oysters.
Oh, yes. Yeah, I bet they eat that too. Yeah.
They say that if you meet people that have been an inspiration to you, that sometimes it's a bit of a letdown actually meeting them. But I just want you to know that in this case, it's been a real pleasure to meet you, one of my inspirations. And I just want to thank you so much for taking the time, for your humility and your honesty. And please, continue to join in with comments on the posts and the interviews, and watch away and be part of this wonderful little community that's growing.
Thank you, Peter. You're doing something that I've longed to have for 40 years. Thank you for what you're doing.
Thank you very much. And there'll be more to come, and we look forward to chatting with you again more in the future as well.
Well, thank you.
So we will leave it there. Wow, interesting conversation. And yeah, certainly someone who has been willing to really be honest, but also gracious. And when he mentioned again, I remember now, because as you know, those listening in the podcast, this is a replay. That was a replay of 6 years ago, and two things struck me. Is one, how he and I had talked about having him come back on, and I even wrote a message to him yesterday and saw that he had reached out to me 2 years ago, and I apologize for my lack of organizational skills. I'm not sure why I'm doing this job, but something's working, and I apologize to Dr. Martin Weber, who hopefully is watching today. And Martin, come back on the show. Come next week. I'll reach out again. And the second thing that hit me is that one-page gospel message. Did I know I got it, but did I release that? If I did, it was probably only inside a Facebook group we had called Insider's Scoop, where I would release that kind of material. So probably only 50, 60 people have seen it. So I am going to have a look for that over the next few days, and I will post it or do a show where I read it. And that way we've got it out in the public. So that will happen. Friends that remind me of stuff, please remind me. As I mentioned, I will be away now for the rest of the week. So hopefully yesterday's impromptu program and this morning's earlier program, totally off schedule, ones that you can watch while I'm away. And there won't be a Good News Fellowship this week either, but there will be SDAQ&A Book Club. So keep an eye out for that in our private Facebook group. So yeah. Anyway, everyone, I'll miss you all this week, but I will be back next week. Hopefully Martin Weber can come on. I've asked officially in writing and on the program. And the following day, next week, we are doing a tribute program to Test the Prophet, who, as you all know by now, has passed away. Way too young, leaving behind a young family. It's just a tragedy. And we have his YouTube channel to reflect upon and learn from and watch. But yeah, myself and Rodrigo Custodio will be doing a tribute to Test the Prophet next week. And until then, everybody, see you soon. You're awesome.